All right, I'm starting to get that down. Hey, with that, we're going to go ahead and start this call off with Cindy Wright. We're on Chapter 84, Be Smart About the Risks You Take. Cindy, are you there?
I am, Tracy. Good morning, everyone. I was just thinking the same thing, Tracy, when you said I'm about to get this down. I was thinking to myself, Tracy's about to get this. Oh, sorry. Couldn't help myself. Anyway, this chapter is a good one. Kirby and I can definitely relate to this. It is be smart about the risk you take. Risks are a part of living. I'm reading from the book. Not every day, but certainly periodically. I'm referring to risk where there's a lack of complete certainty and where several possible outcomes could exist, at least one of which is undesirable. Sounds dangerous with a negative connotation, right? Not necessarily. The right risk at the right time can be very positive. It comes down to developing a practical framework for wise decision-making when risk is a factor. For example, leaving a secure position with an established company to accept a more lucrative job with a new startup. Possible outcome, what if the business fails? Second one, entering a partnership with a new business associate. Possible outcome, what if the person turns out to have different values than you and the values cannot be reconciled? The third one, investing a large sum of money in a new investment opportunity. Possible outcome, what if it fails and you lose it all? Sadly, the evidence of bad risk and the decisions that follow are all too common. I have friends who were millionaires but lost it all as a result of taking unnecessary risk. I also had a friend lose his life in a deep water scuba diving accident. In his quest for the thrill, he risked it all, leaving behind a widow with 2 teenage daughters. If you desire to live a successful, fulfilling life and retire with enough money to enjoy your retirement, you must take calculated risk. This includes risk in relationships, in your career, and in your investments. While taking smart, calculated risk is vital to reaching your goals in life, taking poor risk and losing can set you back sometimes, significantly. Remember that taking smart risk is as simple as making wise decisions. He says, I've learned a lot in my life about risk-taking from observing others and through my personal experiences, both good and bad. Now, when I consider taking a risk, I ask myself these questions. There are 6 of them. Number 1, what are the risks? Don't let your enthusiasm prevent you from carefully considering all possible risk. Your greatest risk may be overlooking what's at stake. Number 2, what are the odds of one of the risks being realized? Use data whenever you can by doing research. Talk to others who have been in similar situations or circumstances. What are the rewards? Be realistic as you evaluate the offer. Can you really quit your day job and devote 10 hours a week to something and make $100,000 a year? Probably not. Number 4, what are the odds of those rewards? Once again, find out about others, about what others have. Sorry, I can't even read this morning. Once again, find out about others who have done something similar and how they have fared. Number 5, what other options do you have? Do your homework. Don't limit yourself. Buying that investment property is not only, I'm telling you, it's Monday morning, is not your only investment option. And number 6, do I need to make this decision today? This is a big one. We often rush into things. Remember the old adage, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Take the time you need to do the research and explore your options. After you answer those 6 questions, remove the emotion from your decision and ask yourself what your gut is telling you. Also, never forget the wild card risk. You don't know what you don't know. And, there's a challenge, but I just want to talk about this for a second because Kirby and I have taken some really big risk in our life, and some of them really turned out to just be horrible decisions that we, had to deal with for many, many years, especially financially, making some really bad risk. and investments. And we've learned now that we don't even come close to it now. We are so reserved and so calculated in anything that we do now because of the mistake that we made like 20-something years ago. And so it's not always good, because I think that we've probably passed on some really good investments because we're like, we're not going there. We can't do that. We're not going there. What if it fails? What if it? And, it's interesting, Tracy, because when we think of risk, I think for me, it's always like taking a risk about, an investment or career or something like that. But really, when he was talking about the scuba diver taking a risk because of a thrill and lost his life. I mean, it's like, I don't think about that because I guess because I'm, in my 60s, I'm like, I am not going to take a risk like jumping out of an airplane or something and risk my life. I'm too chicken these days. Now, 30, 40 years ago, I would have probably done that. I dove off a bridge once when I was in high school. And so I was definitely a risk taker then, but I'm not now. But I'll give it to you for your thoughts.
Well, hey, I can't imagine you jumping off the bridge, but I wish I would have seen that. I
dove off of it, honey. I dove off of it, and I had a headache for a week.
Yeah. Hey, so I want to talk about two types of risk. So back, if I wouldn't, when you're considering risk, I just believe you also got to consider, what if I don't take that risk, where I would be. And I remember when I was working at the prison, I was spending a lot of time away from my family and my wife when I was working this part-time business. And I remember asking myself, well, what am I risking here? And I was risking alienating my wife. So I talked to her. The risk was well worth it, considering the type of lifestyle we live today. So that, I just think that you have to also consider what, both sides of the coin. And also, as far as risk, not everything, like he was talking about the scuba diving, not everything involves money. For me, I hate to be late, and I think that's the military in me. I can't stand to be late. And so if I'm going to be late to somewhere, even if it's a minute, or especially if it's like 10 minutes and I'm on the highway, I hate to say it, and I don't really do it anymore, but I'll zip and zag out of traffic, and I'm risking my life, and I don't even realize it then until I have a close call. Is it worth being on time as opposed to 10 minutes late? Is it worth risking my life where my wife loses me, my grandkids lose? I mean, is it really worth that? And so we really need to weigh the risk and rewards. The reward is, okay, you're not late. Nobody probably even notices that you're not late. And you're risking your life to not be late. That is just crazy. And so really good chapter, the risk and rewards. And with that, I'll throw it back to you, Cindy.
When you're in business and you're in sales, like we are, it's like you constantly find yourself saying to someone, well, what if you don't do this? If you don't do this, what could the outcome be? Instead of saying, if you do this, it's like we're always kind of giving somebody a fear of loss in this risk thing, And really, he says the challenge is the next time you find yourself faced with a decision involving an element of risk, I urge you to review this lesson and keep the following three things in mind. The first one, start small. You don't need to hit a grand slam your first time at bat. Aim for singles and only advance to the next base when you feel like the odds are in your favor. You can live an amazing life, travel the world, and retire financially secure if you just keep hitting singles. Second one, don't get greedy. This is a potential problem in any area, but especially in the financial realm. Some people never accumulate wealth because they spend most of their money in risky ventures. Others save money for years and then get tired of working, roll the dice with their savings, hoping to strike it big, and end up losing it all. And the third one, approach partnerships with caution. One of the ways to reduce risk is by not giving up control. For a partnership to work, it must begin with a well-established relationship. And this reminds me of a risk that we took, Kirby mainly, because it was his business he started with some people that he did not know well enough. And he ended up pouring everything we had, everything into this company, was away from us for over a year, like just coming home once or twice a month. And we ended up finally moving out to California for this opportunity that he started. And when we got there, he tells me, as soon as I get off the plane, moving, all our stuff is on a truck following me, that he has realized that the integrity of the partners he's involved with is not what he thought it was, and he had just resigned. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We have everything we own on a truck, moving to California, and you just resigned from this opportunity. It was a bad risk. And then the guy ended up suing Kirby for leaving. And so we ended up spending about $100,000 fighting a lawsuit that was frivolous. And so that was just the outcome of one bad decision by not knowing the people he was getting involved with well enough. So that's just one of the stories I could sit here and tell this whole morning. But anyway, you learn and live, and that's why we're not big risk takers anymore. So with that, I will let you close the call.
Hey, that was a good story. I think most of the time, if we don't rush to decisions, don't get caught up in all the excitement, we sit down, we write out all the positives and all the negatives of taking that risk, and all the positives and all the negatives of not taking that risk, that we're much more likely to make a good decision. And remember that other people, no matter how good we think they are, most of the time are going to do what's in their own best interest first. Then we'll be on the right side of that risk. So with that, hey, I wish everybody to go out and have a good week. Let me go ahead and unmute everybody. See if I can. Oh.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Good morning. That's
Great job.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, and amen. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks for being so real with us.
You're welcome.
Hey, Mommy. Thank you so much. Oh, unicorn.
Leslie Richards. Nothing there.